Hello, this is the second video in the AutoIt Scripting tutorial video set, and I'm going to talk about something called functions and the way they are used, and I'm also going to cover how you can use the help file to learn specific information about either functions you're already aware of or functions you've never seen before, because the help file is going to be instrumental to you to be able to improve your abilities once you've been through these first basic training videos. So firstly, a function, you'll be using them all the time with AutoIt. There's numerous amounts of them built in, and a function is just like a program that is run with parameters, which you may be used to doing in a command prompt, like type in a command called ping and then put in a parameter in like google.com, and in this case you've got your program or your command and then you've got a parameter. Now if we wanted, we could add an extra parameter like -t, and this changes the way that the command functions, and now this will ping forever until I manually stop it with Control-C. Well, a function is just like a command like this, in the sense it has a name and it has a purpose, and then there are parameters, more often than not, that you can add on to choose how you want to use that function. So if we load up the site editor, and before you ever do anything, you always want to save a file, because then everything just works. So we'll go test1. Now, the help file, you go to help and click on help, and this might look complicated, but what you do is you go to the contents area, and then you'll see function reference. Inside here is a categorized list of all kinds of functions. So they're all nicely grouped, like here's file, directory and disk management stuff, here's graphical user interface management. So if you want to go down the list, you can, after you've seen these basic videos, you could click on here where it says message box and dialogues, and you're like, let's see what's in here. Message box, MSG box, what's this? So you click that and you'll be presented with a help screen that tells you the name of the function, and remember, a function is just like a command, and then it shows you the parameters that are possible, which parameters are separated by a comma. So you've got the first parameter, comma, second parameter, comma. Now, whenever you put something in quotes like this, this is called a string, and a string is a piece of text, and the reason why it works is because it's encapsulated with quote marks. So, and anything you see in the square bracket is totally optional. So here, this explains the parameters. The first one is a flag, and that indicates the type of message box. The title, which is the second one, that selects the title of the message box. Then the text, right here, is what will appear for the text of the message box. Then you've got a couple of optional ones here, timeout, which will close the message box after a certain amount of seconds, and then we've got a handle, which we won't be getting to yet. Now, a function like this, like you just saw with the ping command here, it outputs things. Like here we can see information about the pinging of google.com. Well, many times a function itself can output information, and what we will want to do is store that information and be able to use that down the line. So when it says return value, it returns the ID of the button pressed. So if we had a message box that had a yes and a no on it, and somebody pressed yes, it would save a value of 6. And we will get to the specifics of how to do that later, but for now I'm just showing you the format and how functions actually work. So those are return values, and here's information about the flag parameter, which is that first one we saw here. So It's very simple. You've got the name of the function, the type of parameters are laid out here. You get a basic description of what those parameters are, and if there's more information that's needed, like what is a flag parameter, I mean, you know, what does it do? What you do here is you add these together for the ones that you want. Like in this section, this is, you can only have one. You can't have an OK and an OK and a cancel. Okay, so you would just pick one of these. So you could have a flag of number 4, and that would have a message box with a yes and a no. And then you could choose the kind of icon you want. So you would add 16 and 4 together, and you'd put number 20 in for the flag, and we'd have a message box with a stop sign icon and a yes and a no, which I will show you. So if I go MSG, now you can see here a list. This is a list of functions, and it's highlighted on the most likely one that we're trying to type. So in order to save time, instead of typing the whole thing, we can now, because it's already highlighted on MSG box, I can hit tab on the keyboard and it will automatically complete that for me. Now when you start a function, you open it up with a bracket, and now we can start typing. So I'll put in 20 for the flag, comma, and then I'll type in a title of my box. And remember, a string, you have to begin it and end it with a quote mark, comma. Now I'm going to type in some text. Now I'm going to show you something that frustrated me, because as you saw a second ago, whenever you press comma to go to the next thing, it kind of highlights with a slightly blue tint the next piece of information, the next parameter that comes after that. Anything in square brackets is optional, you don't have to put those in, but these things have to be put in. So this is a nice reminder. But what can happen is, in your string, if the last thing you typed right here was a symbol, when you press the comma right after the quote, it won't do anything. So the way that you have to do this, if you've got a symbol, is you just press space, so you're not slamming the comma right up against it. So now we press the comma, and now we can see all these extra things. So I will put in 6 seconds for the timeout, and I will close the bracket. Now when you've typed your line of script, what you do is, if you want to test it, you press F5 on the keyboard. Oh, now we've got a message box with a stop sign, the message, and we've got a yes and a no button, and after 6 seconds it just disappears because we have this optional value. If we remove this optional value, press F5, we get the message box with the title my box and the message hello and welcome. Hello and welcome. Now we have the yes and no, and later down the line you will find out how you can store which button is pressed, so that you can make choices later down the line. Like if they press yes, you could do this, or if they press no, you could do that. So that is how functions work, how you use them, and how you can use the help file to find out new things you want to do, find out the information about them, what the parameters do. It's very clearly labeled, and if there's any extra information needed, they will be down here towards the remarks area. Now here's something else. When you started your function and you press comma, and you can see this tooltip, this is a very brief description. If you want to quickly get access to it, to the help about this, you would just click on the function like that, just once, just click it, and hit F1 on the keyboard. Presuming, of course, you've saved your file and it is a real file that exists. You can't just do this when you very first open the editor and start typing. So we've saved the file already once. So we click here on the function name and press F1 on the keyboard, and it will take us straight away to the page on the help file all about this. So if we're not fully sure about something or we need to get clear, we could just press F1 on it and just scroll down and check all the information we need. So that's all for video 2, and I will see you on video 3.